Prestige Worldwide, wide, presents Painting Tips with Reese and Zach.
Okay, okay. Alright, I'm good. Stop. I'll go off again.
Alright.
Alright, go ahead. Let's do it. Let's go.
Okay, go.
Alright. Hey Cara, how you going? Merry Christmas. We thought we'd do a video on painting tips and tricks. We know you've been starting a professional painting career, and we thought you could probably use some help. So
We've noticed you've missed a couple of tricks and tips that we found very helpful.
Yeah, in our professional painting careers,
I don't know if you know, but Reese is
third best painter on the Sunshine Coast.
Undefeated.
Undefeated. That's right. Third place wasn't awarded this year because I kept the reigning title.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, it's not a yearly thing, it's a lifetime thing. So, you know, hopefully this video helps and you learn to paint properly.
Hi. So, I don't know if you know how to use spray paint properly or not, but, we'll go through the basics, pretending you're an idiot and you don't know anything, which, I don't know. First of all, you gotta make sure you're wearing protective gloves.
That's very important.
Because you don't want spray paint going everywhere on your skin.
This is one of the most important steps to keep your hands clean. Prevents
What
a lot of
happens
washing up.
if you need to eat with spray? Okay, so I personally recommend super glue because it's cheap and highly toxic. And you just want to jam it in there so you've penetrated the container. And I personally find that spray paint doesn't stick to the model sometimes, so you just gotta give it a nice little lather. This works especially well on fine cast models because I find that all the detail really gets drawn out. Okay. There we go.
This helps protect the model against future damage as well.
Yeah, well... Oh, hang on.
Wow, that's a rookie mistake right there.
I know, right? Well, I'm not the third best, so...
Oh, it's alright.
Now, what you want to do is get in nice and close to the model. Just making sure that you get every little detail. Don't worry about it sticking or anything, because it'll just seep right into the little cracks there. I don't know if you have used fiddly bits before, but I find high gloss enamel fast drying excellent for modeling.
That's our sponsor, by the way.
The only downside to using super glue and spray paint and plastic gloves is it'll stick to you sometimes. Okay, so... Oh no! We've run out of spray paint! What will we do, Reese?
Oh, well. We're gonna have to find out, aren't we?
Little thing called improvisation. Now, Reese has led me to believe a very secret, specialist way of countering this problem of having to go and buy extravagantly priced fiddly bits at the store, which we'll get right back to you at the end of the break. Keep going.
Alright. Hey, so you've just run out of spray paint, and that is a big problem.
Oh no, what am I gonna do?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I was gonna tell you anyway. It's important to be able to mix the correct process of layer-based paint when undercoating a model. What you want is your average dishwashing detergent, and you want 2 to 3 drops of this. You might want to get in for a close-up.
Oh yeah.
You want 2 or 3 drops. That's important to mixing the Abaddon Black. That's what we're going to use. See that?
Yeah.
It's Games Workshop sponsor. So we're just going to pour a little bit in there. You need to get it nice, and if it's not coming out like this, usually you need to get a paintbrush and jam it in. Let's solve that predicament now. Now we've picked up some excellent paintbrushes for a painter on a budget. Shout out to King Kong. Now you'll find that most of these are unusable. So what you want to do is grab probably the smallest one here, and there's a good dry brush right there. And the rest you can just do whatever you want with. It doesn't really matter. So here we go. Get the Abaddon Black. Get a nice thick layering on your paintbrush like that. You want to just dab it in to your painting container. There we go. Now, it's very important that you need bubbles in the mixture because it helps when preparing the model. So you need to add a fair amount of water. There we go. That should be enough to give the model a real fine texture. It'll take a bit longer to dry than your average Its and Bits or whatever the fuck it's called, but you know, it's important that you do this correctly, otherwise you will ruin your model.
Now, Reese, don't forget about our most important rule.
Oh!
Safety.
Safety. I almost forgot. What an amateur mistake. Now, it's important to note that the models we're using here are resin, which means you need to use a fine coat. Oh, we didn't make it fine enough. That's a stupid mistake. So let's, what you can do to fix that is add a little bit of Nuln Oil. Now in the 20 ml bottles. Just, there we go, that's enough. Look at that. Alright, mix it up once more, give it a fair stirring, like a goat's innards. And it's important to note that if you do go over the hole in the paint container here, it will leak out, so that's a very important message.
Seepage.
Seepage is important.
Most women know all about that.
Oh, well, it's an important fact of life. It's the gift of childbirth, I suppose. So, here we go. We'll get the model, lay him down there. Make sure there's a nice lather on the paintbrush, and we just...
Look how well that's sticking to it.
As you can see, the model is practically taking to it like a fish to water. Just make sure we get the back end.
I actually think I'm not going to use spray paint ever again.
This is
quick and cost efficient.
This is probably one of the best paint methods, and it was actually invented by cavemen back in the 1900s, and they used to use it for techniques that are often used today.
Look at that sheen.
As you can see, the bottle is now properly coated, and we can leave that to dry. Don't want to get it on my gloves. Be very careful. My hands are actually too big and strong for gloves, so that's one of my downsides as a painter.
Yeah.
Now, after we finish that, it's important to note that layering is a very important step in a painting model's lifetime. So we're going to move on to that now.
Hi. So I'm going to be covering my favourite painting style, which is dry brushing. Now, dry brushing is for those that don't like the nitty-gritty aspect of detail and highlighting, which modern models painting process from mere minutes to hours, possibly even days, depending on the level of quality you're after. So step one, it's very important to get matching colours. I've chosen yellow, blue, and green because they all go together spectacularly.
Those are the 3 prime colors.
Yeah. So we're going to be using the model that I spray painted before. This is the glue and spray paint. So what you want to do is get your favorite, which is yellow, because I can't get me enough yellow. Yellow is possibly the easiest color to paint with as well. And it's best to get the most out of your yellow by just going straight onto black. So what you want to do is just get a nice little thin layer make sure you cover all of the model.
That's coming up very nicely.
I know. Also, the undercoat is also excellent as something to clean your brushing. The black I find isn't really that big of a factor because you're already painting on black.
And yellow's a very bright color, so it shouldn't intervene.
Now, I find that waiting for the paint to dry is just a formality, really. It doesn't affect quality at all. So, I'm going for a nice yellowy ocean color here. If you can see these bubbles here, don't worry about it. They'll come right out with a pin. And now the most important part, the green, because at the moment it's just yellow and blue and it's all over the shop. And I think the green will really tie it together. Oh, yeah, just a little dab. Not too much though, that's important to remember. If you put too much green on it, it'll just ruin it. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what happens if I drop the model? I'm going to chip the paint scheme. Now, say you're like us and you don't have any clear varnish, which I think is personally overrated. Just do settle for some good old-fashioned super glue that is glued to the table. Here we go. Now what you want to do is just dab a little bit on the model, like so, and get your brush and just put it on there. There we go. Whoop! Slippery little sucker fell off. That's alright, we got super glue. We just put that on there. Here we go. Oh, look at that. You can see that nice oceany tone I was talking about with the texture. One side effect is you might get some little bristles sticking out of there, but it's not really that big of a deal. It's kind of like a camo. And there we go. That only took 2 minutes. And I think that's at least golden demon entering material.
Let's have a little close up here, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds pretty good. As you can see, it's drying perfectly. Terrific work, Zach.
And we'll get Reese on the nitty-gritty level 3 kind of painting skill where it's highlighting, optimizing shading, and skin tones, possibly. Who knows?
It's a surprise. Hey, this is our next part of the video on basic techniques used in painting efficiency and professional painting. It's a very basic step, one that you'll use almost exclusively on every model, and you'll find that the techniques embellished are lifelong. It stops paint chipping off the models, it stops progressive decombustion of the models, and it also helps with furnishing and gridlocking. So it's very important. Here's the model we undercoated earlier. As you can see, perfect on all angles. It's the seepage has really occurred around the joints.
I can see that sheen right there.
As you can see, the model is the model appears
good.
Basically as a professional undercoat with a spray can or a hand spraying tool would provide you with. Now it's important to wet the brush first, so it's nice and moist.
I usually just leave my brushes in the water permanently.
That's another excellent idea. As a professional painter, if this was my workshop, you wouldn't find the brushes not in the water.
Yeah.
There's basically a fish tank where I keep all my brushes. So we're going to start with our layer here. This is what's this called? Fire Dragon. Fire Dragon Orange.
Yeah.
It's very, very bright color. It's very good as a.
I find it's a fierce color.
It's known as a layer, but many painters don't actually know that it's actually a base. Definitely don't shake it before you open it. It's important that you keep the milky layer on top to give your model a real professional sheen. So we're going to dry off our brush here.
I find stabbing it in a downward motion is an excellent way of drying it.
There we go.
Takes that water right out.
All the water, dry as a bone. There you go. So we're just going to get a little bit of paint. That's not enough. Get a little bit of paint in a paintbrush here.
Oh.
Now it's important when painting that you get real close to the model. And this is so you don't get rid of any of the special detail. But you also keep a proper layering on the model. It's important to cover it evenly. If you accidentally miss a spot, that's okay, because we're going to do a second layer to make sure that the model is properly coated here. We're running out of paint here, so I'm just gonna. There we go. So.
Ooh, nice.
What you can do is you can actually leave large splotches on the body.
Those nice even strokes you're doing.
Yes, it comes up very nice. See, what we're doing here is we're pooling it around the center to draw the eye. That'll, when people review the model, they tend to look at the most brightly painted or precedented part. And if you center that on the model, it usually causes eye retention and deformation. So that's a very important aspect. So there we go. That's our first layer.
I thought it was done.
Well, no, we actually have 4 more steps to this progress. It's important that we let it dry for the moment, and we'll be right back with the second layer.
Okay, go on.
All right. Hey, welcome back. As you can see, the paint's almost dried. That's a perfect time for us to put on the second layer. You can do it when it's dry, but I find that it's much more effective.
Pretty much dry, let's be honest.
Yeah, well, it's much more effective if there's a little bit of moisture left in the paint, so you can spread it around a little.
Yeah.
Well, you really want to focus on the face and the hands here, as they're probably the most ignored areas in most modern painting schemes. You'll find that people tend to ignore the
extra paint brings out the face, I find.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, it's very important to focus very heavily on the smaller aspects of the model with as much paint as possible. It's another one of those pooling areas we talked about previously, where you really need to put it on the model to make it shine. There we go. Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Ooh, I like those little bubbles.
Yes, the bubbles really pop later.
Yeah,
and
literally
help to bring out the model. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going for a wash. Now, orange, one of its secondary colors is red. They're very, very primal colors, very instinctive. So what we need here is we need another good layer. Of course, remember not to shake up the paint. That milky layer is merely the paint settling, and we need to have that absolutely present on the brush when we paint the model. Now we're going to go straight. That's
just drawing him right out there.
As you can see, with the texture and the way the model was previously painted, the layer really helps to bring out the advanced areas of the model. So as you can see, it's settling on the ridges. It's really helping to
soaking in too.
Yeah, see, we got some extra, so we don't have to re-dip. There we go. We got a little bit on the table. We'll just soak that up.
That's not corn. I don't know what is.
Well, it's actually Zinch. It's Thousand Suns. But you know, as a 40k player, I'd know this. So, goodness me, I don't know what that was. There we go. There we go. That's a lovely. Look at that shade.
Look at that.
Look at the shade. As you can see, the model progressively, the paint goes from our previous layer to
I can see what you mean when you said the chest beam, just
yes,
drawing the eyes
see,
in.
Look at that. It's absolutely stunning. I think that's one of the most professional paint jobs I've ever seen. I've been in this business for well over 23 years now.
Look at that arm. It's just like blending in. Oh.
It's seamless. And when we base the model later, it'll really show
Can you
up.
just flip it around the front? I just want to get those fine cast details in.
There you go. Resin is a very tricky substance,
Look
but
at that, folks.
if you know how to paint it correctly, it's easy to bring out the best. Now, next we'll be covering highlighting, and then finally facial techniques and basing your model. So we'll get onto that very soon.
Hi, welcome back. So, we're going to be working on skin and face detailing. Just going with a nice Kisville flesh.
There's another one of those professional painting techniques. It's very important you do that every time.
Okay, so we're just going to dab a little bit on the face there. Look at that. Make sure you get in all the grooves.
It's important that you completely cover the face. You really don't want to be covering this later.
And don't worry if you go over it a little bit, because no one's going to notice.
No, it's a fine detail, so they're very small, very minute, almost unnoticeable.
Okay. Just give that a moment to dry.
If we had
Well, the model, it does it quicker.
If we had a hairdryer or a similar type of air-blowing machine, we may have been able to do this quicker. But unfortunately, you'll have to bear with us.
Also, a little secret between you and me. You just give it a little wipe, and it dries it right up. And it's not even that noticeable. Okay. Now, next part's the eyes. Now, I can't stress this enough. It's all in the detail, all in steady strokes, and all in the brush you choose. Now, this brush might seem a little too large for the job, but don't let looks deceive you. Now, if you're looking here, this is some quality GW paint that has thickened up a bit, but that doesn't matter. It still holds its own. Okay. So make sure you just like thin the paint out a bit here, because you don't want it too thick.
Yeah, it's a very important tip, thin your paints.
Yeah. So just get a little bit of water in there. Oh, look at that.
Look at that lovely detail. Those fine brush strokes.
Okay, now that we've got the eyes sorted, really get that white in there.
You need to make sure that you're very accurate with this step, as pupil too large could discern the model as a waste of time.
Okay, so once again, you just gotta thin your paints out. Oh,
Very
yeah.
important.
A little bit more. Okay, now we're talking. And it's real careful with this part. You gotta be real meticulous. 1, 2. Ooh, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Ooh, I think I nailed that one.
That's excellent.
You didn't even need to reshoot.
Mm.
Okay. For the flesh, you just get a nice dark tone to it.
Oh, we have skipped over this step, haven't we? Oiling. Excellent use of that technique again. Remember,
Not too much, that's the key. And just gotta thin it out. And nice even strokes.
look at the covering on that. As a professional painter, I can say this is one of the techniques employed worldwide.
You can see how it's really sticking to the skin and a full, rich manner, and like, oh,
It's
That,
incredible.
like, I can't tell the difference
I know.
between my skin and his. Like, I don't
Wow. This
see
is,
how the eyes are really drawn in by the Newland oil.
wow. In 23 years as a painting expert, I have to say that is probably one of the best models I've ever seen.
And finally, just that little roll for those role players out there. Get the blood on the sword. He's a mighty Chaos champion.
There you go. Look at that.
It's got the water helps draw in the red as well.
There you go. Wouldn't want to meet him in an alleyway, guys.
No.
Look at that.
Nice.
Lovely. All right.
Yeah. I think Reese has one or two highlighting tips. Get back to you after the break.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, and we're good.
All right, hey guys, welcome back. As you can see, our model has it's practically dry now. As I said, that magical point in the model when the paint's setting, but not quite set. It's like the sun. You want to see the sun set, but never set fully. All right, here we're gonna use one of these paintbrushes. You've probably seen them in an earlier part of our video. Excellent for fine detailing, and what we're going to use it for is similar, but not the same. It's highlighting, and highlighting is a very important part of a model's lifetime. It's one of the final steps you want to go into, and it's very important to have your model almost fully completed when highlighting.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure our brush is absolutely dry first, absolutely dry. And then we can dip it into the paint. There you go. It's not really enough. We're looking for a bit more there.
Get those chunks on there.
There we go. Now, this is we're using this is a palette here. And just wipe that on there. Get almost all of it off because we need a very light layer. There we go. Fantastic. It's probably a bit too much actually. We'll just. There we go. And we'll just wipe it on our palette again. Perfect. All right.
Nice.
Now, it's very important. You just want to get the raised edges. So you need to get like the back here. And then you want to get top of his weapon. And then probably his sword as well. It's a very prominent part of the model. And then, oh, I've dropped my brush. Well, once you drop a brush, it's very important that you never use it again. So we'll get a second brush here. This one's not exactly the brush we need, but you know, it'll be all right. We'll just get some more paint on it. We'll have to start from the start, so we got to wipe it off again, and of course wash it a bit. Fantastic. There we go. Now, this also helps us
Just have
get
a quick look on the brush there.
Oh, there you go. Have that. Check that out.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Now it's very important you get the crotch. It's one of the most highlighted parts, right there, right there. And don't worry if your brush gets some of the paint off it. It's all good. Remember, the model's the same color, so it's going to be fine. Now we're going to do the last part here. It's the helmet. We're just going to make sure we. Oh, look at that!
Oh, nice.
Look at that! It's coming along lovely.
He's been in the wars, hasn't he?
Yeah. Oh man, this looks like he's just come out of killing Space Marines, which of course not as good on the tabletop as they are in the books. All right, there we go. Oh, hang on, we missed the coat. We got to get the hem of the coat. Can't forget that.
That
There
real
we go.
earthy look.
Yeah. There we go. There we go. Terrific. Terrific. Let's turn him around here. Let's get the other side. Look at that. Look at that detail.
Man, that centerpiece on the chest just
It's popping.
popping.
Yeah. Pop! Boom! Fantastic. All right. I'll be able to get back to you on our last step now. We hope you've enjoyed most of our video. It's a very high-end video, and we expect these painting tips to
It's a lot to
while.
take in.
It's a lot to take in.
It's a lot to take in.
It takes years and years to master painting, and of course, we've been at it for a long time, so we know what we're doing. But if an amateur is watching this video, we would advise caution, probably 1 step a year. It's probably very accurate, and then attempt to master it. It's very important. Once you master your skills, you'll be able to join the industry with one of us, and won't that be fantastic? So thanks for that, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. One of our final steps in the painting draw. It's basing the model. After your model's finished, you want to make sure that you have an even layer that you can put on its base. It helps bring the paint job to the fore, and also creates a scenic event which depicts the model as active or aggressive in some cases.
It forges a hard narrative, in other words.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. So, what you need to do here is apply a liberal amount of super glue to the base. This one's actually empty by the looks of it. We need a lot more than that. So, thanks to King Kong again. There are
All your hobby needs there.
all your hobby needs. Chosen sponsors. We can just, there we go. We got a few. We can just forget about that one. That one's padded, I think. Let's just. You got to remember to pierce it fully. Oh, there we go.
Right.
So, careful, ladies. He's a charmer. All right, now remember, as I said, liberal. So you want to get it all over the model's base. That one was a bit empty too, I think. And we can borrow the top here. It's very important to really.
You want to make sure the dirt sticks.
You want to make sure, absolutely. It's important, you know. We'll just get our little friend Jimmy here again. Thanks, Jimmy. And it's important to reuse your lids.
Yeah.
So they've served you well before. So there we go. There we
Nice.
go. Oh, lovely. Now
Okay.
we just want to. What you just want to do is sift it onto the model. You want to just sift it. So you got to make sure get a nice even spread. And then, look, there's some scenic pieces on there. There we go.
In the trenches there.
Terrific. It looks like he's wading through a jungle. He could
Welcome to the jungle, Reese.
He's
Welcome to the jungle.
possibly a Catachan. They do love the jungle. They do love the jungle. Now, it's very important in this step that you remember to leave the model outside for a good 5 to 10 minutes. That'll allow nature to take its path. And we're leaving here. We're in a fairly open area, so it's all good. You don't want to die from glue fumes. It's a very painful death. You know, super glue is entirely toxic, and we probably will live 20 less years thanks to the fumes we've inhaled today. So we hope you're happy with our video. Otherwise, you know, we will die for nothing.
Yeah. We hope that you found it both educational and fun.
Educational and fun. That's the important part.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.